What is up, everyone? Welcome to week 6 of HBCU Friday night right here on HBCU Game Day. We have 4 great matchups to preview for you guys as we head into the weekend. Of course, I am Symone Stanley. Back-to-back weeks for me. Let's shout it out. I'm here, back-to-back weeks. Consistency, stacking days, you know what I'm saying? Brick by brick. Also, we are joined by the very one and only Wilton Jackson, who is always here every week, holding it down on HBCU Friday night. Wilton, can you believe it's a little brisk chill in the air? It's week 6. We got homecoming season. Like, where is the time going?
Man, Symone, I'm so glad it's homecoming season. And the temperatures are slightly dropping a little bit. I need them to drop a little bit more because it's still a little hot in Mississippi. So I need the temperatures to drop maybe about 10 degrees more. We'll be good.
It's still warm in Atlanta. We get, you know, when you go out the house like 11, 10 a.m., you got the little brisk chill. Around 7 p.m., you got the brisk chill. But in the middle of the day, it's still giving very much summertime in Atlanta. But it is officially homecoming season. So on paper, on the field, we're in the thick of football season. And like I said, we have 4 matchups to get into. So let's go ahead and start with FAMU versus Alabama State University. It is homecoming for the Hornets. They will be hosting Florida A&M University. Both of these teams are coming in 2-2 and looking to take good position in the SWAC East. Now, FAMU did not play last week because of Hurricane Helene, and Alabama State got a big win over Bethune-Cookman. We know it's going to be rocking in Alabama with it being homecoming for the Hornets, and that home field advantage is going to be crucial. When you are looking at this matchup, Wilton, what are you seeing?
Well, Symone, before we even get into the matchup, you're talking about 2 teams that are favorites to win the SWAC East crown this year. And so it's going to be a battle. It's going to be an all-right battle. The Rattlers head to Montgomery having that week off, like you said. And I think that if you're the Rattlers, obviously, if you want to remain at the top dogs, you have to get this win. And to get this win, you have to win the battle in the trenches, right? Like, you got to make sure that the offensive line is playing strong and consistently to give Daniel Richardson the opportunities to make plays down the field. Then also open up the rushing attack for FAMU. You're talking about 3 dynamic running backs for FAMU and Kelvin Dean, Levante Somerset, and Thad Franklin Jr. that have all shown that they can make plays. But you're talking about this is going to be a FAMU offensive line going up against a strong defense from Alabama State. Alabama State's defense is one of the best in the SWAC, ranking in the top 2 in every major defensive category. They've also at the top in forced fumbles and one of the best in shutting down teams on 3rd down. So it's going to be key that they win that battle up front. And then also, if you're FAMU, making sure you take advantage of explosive plays. How many times have we seen the Rattlers, come up with a big play in special teams, or, take a small pass like a screen pass and go for a touchdown from one of the dynamic running backs, or a long pass from Daniel Richardson over the top of the defense that helps the Rattlers score in the points in that particular category. So, taking advantage of explosive plays, then also stopping the Hornets' rushing attack. Now, we don't really expect Alabama State to throw the ball that much. I think they may have had about 78 or 80 yards of passing last week against Bethune-Cookman. They're going to run the ball. They're going to look to run the ball with Daquan Kinsey, Jamari Holtzclaw, and A.J. Gates. So if you can stop their rushing attack, that pretty much bodes well for FAMU. And if you're Alabama State, keys to success, obviously you want to run the ball, be able to establish that run, get pressure on Daniel Richardson, and don't let FAMU get active in the running game. And you also want to be prepared at all times for FAMU when it comes to special teams, because again, like I said, FAMU is known to have made dynamic plays when it comes to special teams in games that have helped the Rattlers win games.
Now, we have another big SWAC matchup. This one is going to be at a neutral site. It is the Gulf Coast Challenge. It's the Alabama A&M Bulldogs coming in 2-2, taking on Jackson State University coming in 3-2. Jackson State coming off of a win. This game will be in Mobile, Alabama, neutral site. 2 teams trying to pull away in the SWAC East. Wilton, what are you seeing when you look at this one?
So before I get into this game, Symone, something I want to mention, like, things are so wide open still. We know it was wide open in the SWAC West, but it's still wide open right now in the SWAC East. We came into the season talking about FAMU and Alabama State, and, rightfully so, we get that game this weekend. But 2 teams in Jackson State and Alabama A&M still have their chances wide open in terms of competing to win the SWAC East, and that starts on Saturday. And if you're Jackson State, you want to start in getting a win against your first SWAC East opponent, and to do so, they need to come out and start fast on offense. Obviously, quarterback Jacobian Morgan, put together a strong performance against Texas Southern last week that landed him being a SWAC Player of the Week. And when you think about it, this is the same team in Jackson State last year that posted 21 points against Alabama A&M in that Gulf Coast Challenge a year ago. So having a fast start will be good for them. And, of course, what will also help Morgan is, how many times have I said it throughout the season? Jackson State's rushing attack. Irv Mulligan, Desmond Moultrie, Travis Terrell, the little guy who has so many impactful plays throughout this season that's helped Jackson State. And I think that, if they do those two things, that'll be consistent in them potentially getting a win in this game. But then also something to keep an eye on. Offensive lineman Evan Henry got hurt last week in the Texas Southern game, and it'll be interesting to see if he plays this game. If not, it'll be key to see who TC puts in that position to replace him along the offensive line. Next thing for Jackson State, I would say, is limiting their turnovers and penalties. Turnovers, they had turnovers galore against Grambling. They only had one interception last week against Texas Southern. They had six penalties against Texas Southern last week, so that's something that you obviously want to clean up coming into this game against Alabama A&M. And if you're Jackson State too, don't get relaxed. Don't get relaxed in the game, because here's a team in Jackson State in previous weeks that had failed to score in the fourth quarter. The last week against Texas Southern, they scored 16 points in that game, and not only being able to score, but then also when it comes specifically to Alabama A&M, making sure that they're prepared for any of their three quarterbacks that could be potentially playing in this game.
All right, now we have to pivot over to the CIAA, where we have two good matchups this weekend. It's Winston-Salem State University, who's 4-1, red hot right now, just like those jerseys, heading up north to Virginia, where they're going to take on Virginia Union, a 2-2 Virginia Union team coming off a big win against Shaw. But like I said, Winston-Salem State University, they have a lot of mojo. They're coming off a big win themselves against Bowie, Wilton. First of all, let's get some snaps to the CIAA football in Winston-Salem State University. We have a lot of Winston-Salem State alums in the HBCU Game Day family, so they have some pride this season. They got a lot to boast about. So shout out to Winston-Salem State University. What are you seeing when you look at this matchup?
Before I get into it, I know Stephen Gaither is somewhere very proud. I feel like I say that every week as they continue to win. I know he's proud of Winston-Salem State and what they're doing. But you're talking about an old, CIAA South matchup against an old CIAA North opponent in Virginia Union. So, honestly, Symone, Winston-Salem State showed me last week that they were for real. But they get another test this week in really showing, can they maintain that status that they've created for themselves. And they're going to get a chance to do that. And potentially having to, or not potentially, they will have to slow down running back Jada Byers, who leads the CIAA in rushing yards with 536 and touchdowns. And you're talking about a Virginia Union team that leads the CIAA in scoring offense, total offense, and rush offense. So that Rams defense will be tested. Also, if you're Winston-Salem State, as soon as you touch the field, you want to get Trevon Hester in the game early at running back. He's 5th in total rushing yards in the league, and he's a big part of the Rams' success this season when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. And then also taking advantage of all scoring opportunities. You're talking about the Rams. How many times have we seen their special teams, specifically kicker Gilberto Lorenzana, kick field goals for them to win games, or even just kicking field goals to get points in games? So that could be a key factor in helping Winston-Salem State be successful in winning this game. But if you're Virginia Union, obviously you want to limit Hester's impact on the ground. You want to force Winston-Salem to be more one-dimensional in using quarterback Dalen Lee, the Rams quarterback, to pass the ball downfield. And Virginia Union, the biggest thing that you have outside of obviously Jada Byers is your defense. You're talking about a Virginia Union defense that held Shaw scoreless for the entire first half last week before they went on to explode for 600 yards of offense. So here's the thing. I still think Winston-Salem State is for real, but I don't think they get that win against Virginia Union this week.
Okay. We know we might have some Rams in the group chat and some Rams in the comments that are not agreeing with that. But we also have another good powerhouse team playing this weekend in the CIAA. we have Johnson C. Smith University, who is undefeated right now, 5-0. We have a whole documentary series on HBCU Game Day, directed by our own Wally Pitt, brick by brick. So you get a good behind-the-scenes look at that rebuild of the Johnson C. Smith University football program. And this season, they've been going 1-0 every week. They've been laying them bricks. I would say now those bricks have been built into a house. Johnson C. Smith looking great, clicking on all cylinders. They are going to be playing Virginia State University, a team that's 2-2, but you can't sleep on any opponent. And when you are the undefeated team, everybody's going to give you their best. What are you looking for this weekend in this matchup, Wilton?
You know, Symone, what's ironic is the Golden Bulls were predicted to finish 4th in the CIAA, and Virginia State was predicted to finish 1st. How ironic we get this game on Saturday. So I think if you're Johnson C. Smith, you want to try to obviously maintain that undefeated season and play well. And I think the way to do that is obviously get the play going with Darius Ocean. You're talking about Ocean is their quarterback. He leads the CIAA in passing yards and is second in passing touchdowns this season. He goes, essentially Johnson C. Smith goes as he goes. And you're talking about a Virginia State team that allows 17 points, which is 5th best in the CIAA. But when you're talking about other statistical categories, they give up the 8th most yards of total offense per game, and they rank at the bottom of the league in rush defense. So if I'm Johnson C. Smith, I'm trying to run the ball, and I'm also trying to make sure if I'm Darius Ocean, getting the ball to my receivers as quick and as efficient as possible. Also, if you're Johnson C. Smith, you want to contain and get pressure on Virginia State quarterback Romello Williams. Romello has shown that he can make plays in the offense for Virginia State. You're talking about a guy who's thrown for 702 yards and 6 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. So if they can get pressure on him, maybe force him into some turnovers, that could bode well for JCSU. And also limiting Jamil Williams in the running game. And you know, if you're Coach Frazier at Virginia State, you're going to try to get him going as early as possible. So limiting Williams' rushing attack would be strong. And if you're Virginia State, obviously keep Darius Ocean on the sideline. You know, maintain the football and essentially control the possession. JCSU does a really good job in being able to control the time of possession. But if you are Virginia State and you're picking up first downs, you're converting on third downs, that keeps Mr. Ocean on the sideline, and they don't have the ability to get that many possessions in the game, which could bode well for Virginia State. And of course, for the Trojans, getting the running back Jamil Williams involved early and getting a strong game for Romello Williams at quarterback would help them get this win.
All right. Did we get any predictions from you? I think you predicted one game. I don't think you predicted the other. What's your predictions?
So I predict Johnson C. Smith to beat Virginia State. I think Jackson State will beat Alabama A&M, and I think that FAMU will keep it going in Bragg Memorial Stadium. It's just hard to beat. It's hard to win there, but for their homecoming, right. I just think it just makes it that much harder.
And then you picked Winston-Salem State losing. I do remember that.
Yes, I did say Winston-Salem State losing that game.
All right, well, we'll see what Wilton's record is for Week 6. But as for HBCU Friday night, that is a wrap. We got to see what happens on the field. We can talk about it. We can predict. We can say what y'all need to do. But at the end of the day, it's about what happens in between the hashes. This is HBCU Game Day. I am Symone Stanley. He is Wilton Jackson. And until next time, bye.